Hello and welcome back to the Clubhouse. Today I'm talking to a man that's been on a very inspiring journey. He's overcome every obstacle in his way to become Paralympic gold medalist. He's now a Strictly Come Dancing star as well. It's Will Bayley. Will, thank you very much for talking to me today. I guess the current situation has provided you with some valuable time to continue your rehabilitation on your pretty severe knee injury.
Exactly. Yeah. No. Thanks for having me. I mean, it's been a weird time, hasn't it? But like, I've enjoyed my time off, really, to spend time with the family and obviously, as you say, like to rehabilitate. And yeah, I've got a bike now and I've got a squat rack. I've taken it to the extreme, but it's really good for my knee. And yeah, I'm enjoying my time at home.
And I've been following you on Instagram. You seem to be well into the garden workouts and everything. And the nice, authentic thing about this chat now is you've just finished a session as well.
Yeah, a bit sweaty, but yeah, just finished the session. And no, yeah, I think at the garden workouts, I mean, it started off as just sort of basic stuff, and now I've got more and more stuff in the garden. It's like a gym out there, but no, it's good. It's what I need to try and come back as quickly as I can. You know, when we can train, the National Centre's not open till at least the 1st of August, so we've got a long time still. So yeah, we've just got to try and hold out and try and get as fit as I can, so I'm ready to play when it reopens.
Yeah, and you've used this time incredibly wisely as well. You've been raising some incredible funds for Great Ormond Street Hospital, a special place where it holds a special place in your heart as well, given that formerly you were a patient there.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like everyone now, I'm sort of thinking, what can I do to try and help out? You know, this time I've had a lot of time on my hands, and then obviously I was lucky to be on Strictly last year, so I had the contacts from Strictly to the wardrobe, a couple of the girls from the wardrobe team. So I messaged them and I was like, "Is there any chance we could make some face masks and sell them for Great Ormond Street Hospital, who are doing an appeal for some more funds?" And they've really been amazing. They've helped me make them, and then yeah, it's just we've sold so many, more than I ever thought. We've raised over 20,000 already. Got more people bringing out face masks. So yeah, it's good fun, and I'm enjoying it.
Must be special for you as well, because I mean, table tennis among other sports isn't necessarily whilst it's really widely played, it's not necessarily a sport that has as much coverage as others. So it must be nice for you now that you've built that base of followers, that you can really push this out there as far and wide as possible.
Yeah, it's brilliant because I'm passionate about the sport. I think it's brilliant. It's definitely an underrated sport in this country. I think it's the 4th most played sport in the world or something like that. So it's such a massive sport. It's got so much potential. So yeah, I think I've been lucky enough to have a great career so far. I've got a lot more to do, but I'm just trying to promote it as much as I can. And more and more people are playing. It's becoming more and more cool. I think there's a lot of clubs and bars, isn't there, with table tennis tables and stuff like that. So yeah, it's a great sport, and everyone can have a go. That's what I love about it. I mean, it doesn't matter if you're just starting to play and you're in the gym, you've got a disability, or you need to lose a bit of weight. I mean, table tennis is great for everyone. That's my baby crying in the background. That's another.
I can't hear it.
So
you're all good.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Again, this is what makes it all authentic, when you've got children crying in the background and dogs barking and stuff. It's all part of the fun.
Exactly.
Just going back to your work with Great Ormond Street Hospital. Obviously, you were treated there for cancer, I think at the age of 7 it was. Is it quite difficult to depict how life was for you back then, and how difficult that was for maybe your family, and how important therefore it is now to be able to give something back, and how that built you up as an athlete that you are today?
Yeah, I mean, I remember it quite clearly, being at Great Ormond Street Hospital and having those struggles. And I had non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, and it was, I mean, that's that's a very serious, obviously, illness to have. And I was fighting for my life. I lost all my hair, and I was on chemo, and I was on a trial drug. And I obviously saw people around me that didn't make it, so I found it very hard growing up, and sort of having those thoughts in my head, that I did feel very lucky to be alive. And I think I've tried to use those thoughts, even when I was 7 years old. They've sort of stayed with me, and I try and put that into my training, play with that kind of passion, because I feel lucky to be alive, and I definitely owe them my life. So I thought, well, the least I can do is try and raise a bit of money for them. It's not like it's hard work or anything. So I mean, I just want to try and give back as much as I can, really.
It's really interesting, having followed your journey. It's clear to see, particularly when you're on Strictly as well, how, which we'll talk about in a minute, how grateful you were for the opportunities that you've been given now, and obviously growing up, you had to deal with your condition anyway. Can you explain what it was like growing up with the condition that you have, and being surrounded by more able-bodied potential athletes, or just school children, and your peers that were able to do things that perhaps you weren't?
Yeah, I mean, I'm so competitive. It was built in me, I think, from such a young age, and I found it difficult because obviously I was. It was frustrating when I was playing sports and stuff, and I was slower. I was losing balance quicker, and also obviously I had a lot of operations growing up, so I was going to school with like massive plasters all the way up to my legs, because at the time my legs were getting sort of rebuilt and reshaped. So all the way through school, I was having a lot of operations. So that's hard as well, because you obviously get people that stare at you and ask you questions, and why can't my hands can't open at all, really. So like, why don't you open your hands? And you get sort of like, kids, they're horrible, aren't they? Like they can be really brutal. Like, so like I had to put up with that, and that kind of definitely made me the person I am as well, because you're going to. I had a choice whether I was going to survive or whether I was going to sort of like crumble, and I decided like I was going to survive, and I was going to fight back, and not physically, but sort of mentally and psychologically. I was going to always win those battles. If there was anyone sort of picking on me, it kind of motivated me to do better and to try and prove a point that I can do it. And I think that's probably stayed with me, those sort of thoughts. It was a tough time growing up as a kid with a disability, especially just simple things like trying to draw around your hand. I don't know, in primary school, and I couldn't draw around my hand. That's how it starts, and then everyone asks, why can't you draw around your hand? And that's just the start of it. And then it goes into secondary school, and it's a bit, going into swimming, and having to swim, and having to walk from the changing room to the swimming pool, and everyone's looking at your feet, and you're like, you just like, you are what you are. So I found that hard, but yeah, I mean, definitely made me who I am today.
And that positive attitude that you have, is that something you've sort of consciously built yourself, or is it something that your parents or friends or family have instilled in you, or maybe a particular coach perhaps along the way that has kind of kept you going through those difficult times?
Yeah, I think my mum's always been positive and always been, saying to me that, that I'm capable of doing anything, and that I shouldn't let things, hold me back. And I guess it's cheesy, but like, those things have been really important to me. I believed them, and I still do. So it has made a difference for me. And they were told to me like every single day. I was told that I should be proud of myself and my body, and I should be proud of being different. I was kind of like always told that, and I believed it. So I think that stuck with me. That's kind of a positive outlook, isn't it? I was kind of proud to be okay. Sometimes I had ups and downs, but in general, I was kind of accepting of my disability, and I turned it around into, not a disability, more of a positive thing,
Do you always think as well, like when particularly during this time that we're in lockdown, it's an opportunity to really reflect on what you've achieved. Would you argue that one of your biggest accomplishments along the way is building up that attitude and that positive outlook in life, and again, not letting things set you back, or comments people make set you back, as opposed to the material things going on and achieving all you have in the sport of table tennis, and on Strictly as well? I think that arguably the biggest achievement of all is the way you've built up that characteristic.
Yeah, I think so, definitely. And I think that it's just important that that I maintain that, and I think that I'm proud of what I've achieved, obviously, but to be positive and to have this natural, I think it's natural now that I'm positive, and that I try and look at the positive side of it. And I think when you've done it every day since for a year, or for in my case, I think since I was like 7 years old when I had to be positive, it kind of like just it's natural for me. I don't see it as like hard work or anything like that. So I guess I'm really lucky actually. I see it as lucky that I have that mindset because I see a lot of people that are going through a lot of struggles, and I've been lucky that okay, I might have a physical disability, but I'm okay mentally, which is actually probably just more important, I guess, in some ways. So I'm actually really lucky for that. I feel really lucky.
And you found table tennis at a young age, and I grew up playing so much table tennis. It's just one of those games, like I said earlier on, it's so widely played, yet it doesn't necessarily get the media coverage that a lot of other sports do. What was it that had you hooked so early on?
I think it was the competitive side of table tennis, because it's one-on-one and you're quite close to each other as well. It's not like tennis where you're quite a long way away. You're quite close to each other. I'm a fiercely competitive guy, so like I was playing with my brother in the garage, and like we were like chucking bats at each other, when we lost, and we were fighting with each other. I love that. I just love that competitive edge. I just love it. I think it's brilliant. Just gets my fight, the fire inside me going when I'm playing table tennis. So the competitive side definitely is something that I love about the sport.
And was it something you picked up straight away and you had an immediate knack and talent for, or was it really something you weren't necessarily, you didn't necessarily have a real gift for it, but you worked so hard that you got to that point?
Yeah, I think I had really good hand-eye coordination from a young boy, because I was playing football, badminton, tennis. From like 5 years old, I was playing like a racket sport a day, really, and I was playing ball sports all the time. So I had that natural hand-eye coordination, but I wasn't especially good at table tennis. So I just loved it the most, so I played it the most, and then I started getting better at it. Yeah, so it was more like hard work, and also when I joined, for example, the national team, I was probably the least likely to go on and win medals in their Paralympic Games. There was 2 or 3 or 4 boys that were much stronger than me at the time, more talented. So yeah, it's definitely not my natural talent. It's just a hard graft, really.
And 12 years ago, you went on to represent Team GB at Beijing. And I actually spoke to an England Rugby Sevens player the other week, Alex Davis, and he recalled the moment that he was told that he would be, making the cut to go out to Rio back 4 years ago. Can you remember that moment you first got the call for your first Olympics and how that felt?
100%, because I was in Bristol, and I was I was in Bristol, and I was on the street. I was walking along one evening, and we were waiting for. I actually got a wild card. We were waiting for the wild card slots to be announced. Because I was hoping that I was going to get a wild card, and my coach just said he'll ring me, when he finds out what's going on, whether it's good news or bad news. And I got the phone call, and I remember chucking my phone up in the air. I was so happy. I was smashed, but we put it back together, so it wasn't too bad. But I remember just chuck my phone up in the air, and a massive feeling of like happiness, and it's just an amazing feeling to represent Great Britain. My first games was special.
And then 4 years later, it ramps up a notch again. You obviously make the cut for Team GB for London 2012, and you get a silver medal. I mean, does it get any better at a home Olympics as well?
Oh, well, the only way it could get better if I actually went and won it. But I mean, it was brilliant. Yeah. But it's brilliant to be there, and I mean, to play in a final for table tennis. I mean, I don't know. Some people that watch this might have seen my final at the Copper Box, and I think it was a few thousand, like 5,000 or 6,000 capacity, and there was queues outside for table tennis. It's brilliant. There was queues outside for people that couldn't get in, and they put it on the big screen. My final, and I think that's just amazing. So there's thousands of people watching it on a big screen, and 5,000 people in a stadium crammed in. People watching outside, and I thought, wow, this is so cool for table tennis. It's just amazing. So I have memories of like being really well supported, and a chance of Bayley when I walked out. I mean, it's just brilliant. It's really amazing, and I still think that the London 2012 Games, not being biased, a lot of international athletes come up to me and they say ridiculously special. It's just amazing.
It's one thing Brits do very well is getting behind their sports stars and showing a hell of a lot of support, particularly. And I think we could arguably do with a bit of that national spirit now as well. But did that open a lot of doors for you beyond that point? Was that the moment you felt as though your name kind of spread out there a bit further and opened a few extra doors to do and try different things?
Yeah, I think so. But I think that I really needed to try and win it. You know, I really wanted to try and win it, and that was losing the final. I still felt like to really put myself out there, make myself, you know, achieve what I wanted to achieve. I had to try and win it, and I managed to do that in Rio. So I still felt like I had a lot of work to do to sort of, you know, to achieve what I wanted to achieve. And now it's funny because now I feel like I haven't achieved as much as I want to achieve. I still feel like there's, you know, a lot of unfinished business. So it's funny. I don't know if you're ever satisfied as a sportsman. I don't know if you ever are. I don't know. You know, I mean, I've achieved everything that I think originally I set out to achieve, but those goals always change, and so I don't know. We'll see.
It's so different. It's so interesting, the difference, but you know, in mentality, certainly between sports people and just sports people and people in other industries. Those that are, you know, have achieved so much within their respective discipline, but still just never fully complete. I don't know what it is. It's just something that's obviously ingrained into athletes like yourself that want to go that extra mile all the time.
Yeah, because I think like you're good. You know, you win the big tournament, say Rio, and then the next tournament you lose or something like that, and then you feel, well, I'm not, you know, that doesn't feel good. You know, you have that feeling of, I want to prove a point again. I want to show that I'm the best player in the world again. And then you have people that write you off and say you're not capable of this, and that kind of fuels the fire as well again. So you're like, you're never going to be satisfied, I don't think, until everyone says you're the best player ever, and that's never ever going to happen. So it's almost like sometimes you're proving a point. You want to show you're better than everyone else. You know, that's the only way I can look at it, and it's a strange way of looking at it, really. But that's my kind of mentality when I'm playing on the table. If someone says, you know, he's done or something, that really is probably not the right thing to say to me. You know. Yeah.
It's the worst way of getting a response out of you. But when you did win in Rio, the iconic image from that games is you standing up on the table tennis table, having just not been given your gold medal yet, but you've just won gold. What was that moment like? Obviously, you got a yellow card for it, but worth it nonetheless.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you know, you've heard my story, so coming through all that, and then to be able to win the gold medal, it's just that you can imagine the adrenaline running through my body, and the thoughts of what I've gone through in my life was flooded back to me for like a few seconds. And there was like about 3 seconds of pure like joy, and then just before I won the gold medal, I was 10-4 up as well in the 4th set. So I was like, I've got this. I was thinking to myself, to be honest, I was thinking, let's just see this out because I've got this. Like, you know, I felt this a massive rush of adrenaline at 10-4, even though I hadn't won it. But then I was like, okay, just focus because I haven't won it yet. But then like when I won it, I just like felt all the way through my veins and all the way into my fingertips, this massive like feeling for like 3 seconds of just pure joy. And I could have done anything. I jumped on the table. I've not been able to do that since, you know what I mean? So like just pure joy. And it kind of went after like a few seconds, and then I felt really happy. Obviously I was really, really happy. And then like literally that evening, I felt a bit down because I was like, where do I go from here? I don't know what else I can do. I thought every single day about winning that gold medal for like years and years and years. And now like I've achieved everything that I've wanted to achieve. So it was a strange one. It was up and down roller coaster of emotions.
Yeah, it's really interesting, that lull that a lot of sports people get after they achieve something big. And it comes from that attitude that we spoke about before, where you're always looking to strive and achieve the next thing. You almost constantly need that goal and that next accomplishment that's laid out in front of you to tick off the list. It's really funny. Did you not really feel as though you had much time beyond that to kind of really revel in what you've done because you were that focused on what was to come?
Well, I wanted to revel in it, you know, but I didn't what I thought I was going to get when I won a gold medal and what I actually got was totally different. You know, I was expecting the sun to be always shining. I was expecting, everything. So I was expecting to walk out and everyone was going to come up to me going, you won a gold medal. You're amazing. But then when you come home, you're back down to reality. It's just like you're just like everyone else, and suddenly you're like, oh, okay, this is what it is. So I think it just like you just have this vision of like what it's going to be like when you win a gold medal, and you think everything's going to be perfect for the rest of your life and it's going to be all fine. But it's not like that. That's not the reality. But I think when you're in that zone, you think, oh, it's just going to be everything's going to be perfect. But I think so. It just sort of hit me that you don't just do it for the medals. You do it because you love the sport. It's not just because you want to win a gold medal. It's because you really enjoy it and you love it. And that's what I've learned to do the last couple of years. Just really enjoy the sport and love it.
But there was a number of things you did take part in beyond that. I got to bring it up. I know you don't necessarily like talking about it, but you made an appearance on First Dates as well.
Oh yeah. That was funny.
How was that for you? Is it as it seems on TV?
Yeah, it was really weird because I went there and I was expecting to see the girl and speak to her a little bit before, but I was chucked straight into the restaurant. So it was literally like straight in and sat down, and then she just came up at the bar and then we started talking. I was like, geez, straight into the deep end. But so it's a bit surreal, isn't it? Because you're a bit guarded on what you say. You can't really relax because you're like, well, millions of people might be watching this, so like you can't really relax and go for it and be jokey like I normally would be. So yeah, it was pretty good, but it was a good experience, and she was a nice girl. So yeah, I definitely don't regret doing it. It was good fun.
And then beyond that as well, you received your MBE at Buckingham Palace from Prince William. Can you remember that day? And for those that maybe don't know what a day like that involves, what was it like, and what did you get up to at the palace?
Oh, it was amazing. We went. I went with my mum and dad and brother. Got to take 3 people with me to the palace, and I mean, surreal, totally surreal. Imagine walking around the palace and then I spoke to William for like a brief sort of like couple of minutes. I got to speak to him, and I said, he goes, "Oh, you're a table tennis player?" I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "Oh, my wife plays table tennis. You have to give her some coaching." And then I said, "Yeah." And I'm not. I was so nervous. I was like, yeah. Oh no, yeah, exactly. I was like, yeah, definitely. And then just he gave me the MBE, and it was all over. But yeah, it was such a special day, and we went out for lunch after that. And then I just remember it really, really fondly, and definitely a day that I'll never forget. It was just brilliant.
Amazing. And since then, another arguably life-changing experience for you, which you took part in Strictly Come Dancing, which is a show that is loved up and down the country. How was that for you, that whole experience? Because everybody that seems to take part, whether they go out in week 1 or make it the whole way through to the final, just seems to absolutely adore the whole experience.
Yeah, it's a magical experience. I mean, to be dancing in front of 12 million people. I mean, 12 million people are watching you. They're doing quick step or something. So you can imagine the rush you get because you're like, I don't want to stack it here. I don't want to fall over and look like an idiot. Or when you're picking her up and you don't want to drop her or something like that. So you're like, oh God, it's kind of you get a huge buzz from it. Every Saturday night, I absolutely was like loving it. Absolutely loved it so much. And I think I had a great partner which helped. Jeanette was really supportive. But it was challenging. It was really hard as well. I mean, the training wasn't hard for me, but the dance, learning how to dance was tough. I mean, I've never ever danced before, so like it was hard. Whereas like I think about 80% of the other guys have probably danced quite a bit. So there was like 4 or 5 of us that had never danced before. So obviously it's hard to pick up, when you have never danced before. So I struggled at that, but I felt like every week I was getting better and improving. So yeah, who's to say? I might have had a decent run. Who knows?
Well, you had a decent run anyway up until your injury. There seemed to be a huge amount of respect for you from the other dancers and the celebrities as well. Are you still in touch with a lot of them to this day?
Yeah. Yeah, they've been really supportive, and especially like during the show, I was getting like a lot of support from them, and that meant a lot. And now I get the occasional text from some of the guys as well. So yeah, it's been nice actually to have that kind of support. And we were quite close as a group as well during the time. Obviously, it was kind of weird when I went out because I had such a massive injury. It was kind of like it kind of ruined it a little bit because obviously you're devastated. I had an ACL injury. I mean, it doesn't really get much worse than that. You can break your leg and it's not as bad as that. So it kind of ruined it because it was kind of like it's quite a sour way to go out, isn't it? I mean, I'd have, if I'd have turned my ankle and been out for a few weeks, I mean, that would have been absolutely fine. But I've tore my ACL and my meniscus. I mean, so I was pretty gutted for a few months, and still, it's taken a long time to get over that injury. It's a tough one. So obviously that probably ruined it a little bit. But I mean, I've just got to look on the positive side. It was a great experience.
And the likes of Craig is brutal in real life as he is when you see him on television.
No, he was really nice, to be fair. I got on with him so well, and I got on with all of them really well. I think Craig's just puts that on as an actor when he's doing the show. But he didn't give me very good grades. Didn't give me very good marks, but I don't mind. He was actually really nice, and he supported my face masks actually. So yeah, he's a good guy.
And does the fact that has this lockdown in a weird sort of way come at a kind of quite convenient time for you as you are rehabbing, whilst it's annoying on the whole, because it gives you that extra year to maybe get in real shape now for Tokyo 2021 as such? Maybe it gives you a bit of an advantage going into that tournament.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, I had the surgery in sort of end of January, beginning of February. So, I mean, it's usually a 9-month, rehabilitation really till you can play. So, I mean, I was cutting it fine. And so to have the extra year, I mean, it's just incredible. It's kind of like perfect for me. But, you can't obviously celebrate it too much because obviously it's a disaster for the world. But, I mean, I've got to be honest, it's very good for me, and it's helped me, and it will help me get fit, and it's like it's meant to be. I've got to go and try and do the business and try and win another gold medal.
Because I suspect as well, a lot of people don't know just quite how grueling training for table tennis can be. You need to be as mobile as possible because the speed at which you play is like nothing else.
Yeah, it's brutal. So I mean, we train 6 hours a day. Just playing table tennis every day, 6 hours. I mean, that's not easy for anyone to do. So, and then we do extra things around that. But so the time on the table and the practice that you have to put in, the technical side of the sport is really, really quite it's up there. So I think, I'm definitely not going to be. I don't underestimate how hard it's going to be for me to try and get back into it, try and find my fitness, because it's going to be really, really hard. I think the first couple of months. So that's why I'm so lucky that I've got time on my hands now to recover and to really get back to being even better than I was before.
Well, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you, and I have no doubt that with the attitude that you possess, you'll undoubtedly be on the podium at Tokyo next summer with a gold medal around your chest. So fingers crossed, and thank you very much for talking to us today.
Thanks for having me. Take care, mate. See you soon.
Thank you, Will. That's perfect. Thank you for your time.
No worries. Take care, mate.
If you enjoyed that episode with Will Bayley, make sure you like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the clubhouse for more episodes very soon.